Have you ever imagined being betrayed by your own family? That's exactly what happened to me. My name is Natalia, I'm 31 years old and I'm developer at a promising IT startup in Samara. But before talking about my career, I need to tell how my own family pushed me into an emotional and financial trap. Since I was little, my younger brother, Ego, or just Ego, as everyone calls him, was the center of attention. While he was gaining a 0-kilometer bike at 10, I received used clothes from thrift store. When he broke my grandmother's precious crystal jar throwing the ball indoors, the blame, of course, fell on me. I, at my 12, doing algebra tasks in my room, becomes a scapegoat. But who cared about the truth? Inequalities only increased. So that Ego could play soccer, my parents arranged 50,000 rubles in 6 months for equipment and travel. When I asked for music classes, the answer was dry, "Don't give, daughter." At 15, I started working distributing flyers on the subway, 8 hours a day on weekends, under sun or rain, for a member 150 rubles by the hour. Meanwhile, Ego received 3,000 rubles a month just for existing money he spent on LAN houses and games, while I saved every penny for school supplies, a decent outfit or a rare cinema with his friends. In high school, he destroyed my father's car in a bad joke after graduation. The solution? A Semenova Audi as a gift. After all, boy is a boy, said my mother. When I asked for help to buy a car and facilitate my routine between work and college, the answer was cynical. Bus is good, strengthens character. 5 years ago, everything collapsed. My father was fired after 2 decades in the same company, receiving only 2 weeks of compensation. My mother, who worked 20 hours a week as a supermarket box, could barely pay the bills. Until the desperate call came, "Natalia, love, we will lose the house. 6 months ago we have not paid the mortgage. The bank has already threatened to execute the debt." I, a newly promoted senior developer with a salary of 180,000 rubles, saw there a chance to help. "How much do you need?" I asked. "About 43,000 per month, between installment and accounts." Without hesitation, I configured an automatic debt. The relief in my mother's cry was instantaneous. "You saved us, daughter. As soon as your father gets another job, we will return everything." 5 years passed. Not even a rublo was returned. 3 years ago, after years of extreme economy, no vacation, eating more beans and sardines than I would like to admit and driving a 7-year priority, I was able to buy my own apartment. Nothing luxurious, a modest 2-bedroom cover in a good neighborhood, but it represented my independence. The financing of 5 million for 20 years consumed all my economies, but it was worth every tear spilled when receiving the keys. Meanwhile, Ego finished college. My parents never mentioned the difficulties of paying their tuition until at a Christmas dinner, my mother unintentionally released, "Thank God Natalia helps us, otherwise we couldn't afford Ego's studies." I was paralyzed. "Wait. Are you using my money to pay his college?" My father, without any embarrassment, replied, "He deserves a chance. You had a bag, he is not. It's your duty as an older sister." I wanted to scream, but for what? The 800,000 rubles had already been spent without my consent. Ego graduated and got a job as a sales manager, earning 70,000 per month. But I lived as a multinational executive, designer clothes, last iPhone, trips to St. Petersburg on weekends. He met Aline, a friendly blonde who worked as an administrative assistant in a bar. 6 months later, already engaged, gave it with a ring paid. Guess what? My mother, of course, with my sweat. In Hero. A month before the wedding, I was invited to a family dinner. I suspected when my mother prepared my favorite lasagna, something I never did. My father, with an impeccable tie, started the conversation. "Natalia, we need to discuss something important. Ego will get married. They need a place to live." My heart froze. He knew where it was going, but I was still cheering to be wrong. My mother added, with tears in her eyes, "Aline is pregnant. They need stability for the baby." I tried to be rational. "I'm sure they'll find something right. There are great options in farther neighborhoods." That's when my father released the bomb. "We believe you should temporarily give up your apartment to them." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But the serious faces proved me the opposite. Do you want me to give them the property I bought with my sweat, which I'm still paying? The show started, my mother cried, my father accused me of selfish, and Aline, with her hand on the still plane, said that in her family, the blood ties meant mutual help. I exploded, ego, you have known her for a year. Stop filling me with this family talk. My brother finally opened his mouth. Don't overdo it, Natalia. We just need a little push. Don't you remember how hard it was at the beginning? As I remembered, 3 simultaneous jobs, a quarter-infested room, each coin saved from blood. No one is asking forever, added my father. 6 months, a maximum of 1 year. You rent a kitnet. And where do I get another 30,000 a month to pay this rent beyond my mortgage? I asked. Ego will make up for you, promised my father. Isn't it, son? He nodded, helpful. Of course, we will make a fair deal. For 2 hours, I was bombarded with emotional blackmail. My mother cried 3 times. My father questioned my morals, my character, even doubting if I was really his daughter. But deep down everyone knew, I had no choice. Under pressure, I ended up giving in. 6 months later, I discovered the truth. They sold my apartment in hiding and bought a house in Krasnaya Glinka. The betrayal was complete. Now I am processing all for fraud. Because when the family becomes its worst enemy, justice is the only way. And this time, I won't back down. They blackmailed me with the baby so cruelly that I could only scream in pain. Yasha distributed promises of compensation that would never fulfill. This is emotional blackmail, I said. Combined. My father cut fast before I changed my mind. You won't regret it, daughter. The following week, I rented a tiny studio, 28 square meters for 30,000 rubles in a building without decent renovation. My old house had planned furniture, dishwasher, silent air conditioning. There, an old device that snore like a plane and radiators who, in winter, made the air breathable. Yasha and Alina moved at the same time, without even offering help. I had to rent a box to store my furniture, another 4,500 rubles a month I didn't have. First month, no compensation. I wrote to Yasha, hello. About the monthly help we combined for the baby. I need everything. Let's talk. Answer, then we see. I called my mother, Yasha didn't pay anything. Natashenka, don't be petty. He's your brother. Do you have an idea of what a child costs? Second month. Third. I stopped asking. The money escaped like water between the fingers. But what could I do? It was a family. And I had already surrendered. I kept in touch with Yasha by message, just to know if everything was fine with the apartment. He sent photos of Alina's renovation, Zara home curtains, ceramic vases with expensive plants, decorative pillows that certainly cost more my weekly supermarket basket. After 4 months, I decided to appear without warning. I still had the keys, but, by education, I played the bell. It was Saturday, ode. I'm being at home. Who is it? Yasha's voice on the other side. It's me, Natasha. I need to get my winter things. I should have called before. We are not prepared for visits. Come back another day. Something was wrong. Why not ask for 5 minutes to get ready? I left, but the distrust was. I called Aunt Rita, my mother's sister, the only sensible in the family. Aunt, do me a favor, pass in front of my building, see if it's okay. Of course, honey. I give away. A week later, the phone rang. I was in the office, correcting a code when I saw her name on the screen. Natasha, are you sitting? Before my door, an ad, for sale. It must be mistaken. Someone from the building. Yesterday I saw a broker showing his house. I entered pretending to be buying. It's yours, Natasha. No doubt. She sent a photo, the real estate plate, my facade, my floor. The hands trembled when finding the ad online, cozy 2-bedroom apartment in a noble neighborhood. My house. In the photos, Alina's decor, the pink crib, to their wedding photo on the dresser. Price, 9 million. Already reduced. I called the broker, with a calm I didn't feel. Good afternoon. I saw the announcement of a roof on Lev Tolstoy Street. Oh, yes. Great opportunity. The owners are very motivated. We already have proposals, so if they are interested. The price has fallen. Yes, from 9.5 to 9. A bargain. I hung up and ran to my parents' house, breaking all traffic rules along the way. They were in the kitchen, drinking tea, with an obscene tranquility as if they had not just destroyed my life. What did you do, fucking? My mother paled. My father, deliberately slowly, landed the cup. What are you talking about? He asked, with a tone too false. My house. That with the cell sign in front. The one that strangers are visiting. They exchanged a look. That guilty look said everything. Knew. They always knew. Listen, daughter, my mother reached out. I backed away. We needed the money for old age. We found a perfect house in Krasnaya Glinka. It's a good investment. Investment? With my house. Did you go crazy? In the end, you will inherit the house in Krasnaya Glinka, my father added. You don't know me. We know better than yourself, my mother nodded. It has always been responsible. The one who does the right thing. And the right thing is to support the family. They continued to justify, explaining how that theft was actually a gift, how I was going to thank you, how the house in Krasnaya Glinka was going to value, as I was too young to cling to a property. You won't do anything, repeated my father. Never did it. Remember when Yasha broke your notebook at school? It was quiet. When we gave him a car after you bought another, I left without saying anything else. But my father was wrong. Terribly wrong. First, I went home. My house, fucking. I knocked on the door for 5 minutes until Yasha finally opened a crack. Natasha, it's not a good time. Open or call the police now. He unlocked the current. You need to leave. This is my home. No more, Alina's voice echoed from the inside. We have a legal right to be here. If you don't leave, I call the police. You are stealing my home. Alina appeared next to Yasha, held her belly with exaggeration. You're exaggerating. If not, I call the officer. I will say you threatened me. This is a lie. And you think they will believe in a pregnant woman, or a hysterical woman? She smiled, poisonous. That screams under our door. Yasha hesitated. His gaze found mine for a second, and for the first time in years, I saw something ashamed there. But the door closed with a bang on my face. I will find a lawyer, I shouted, hitting the wood. My voice sounded firmer than I felt. Good luck, said Alina on the other side, with a giggling that froze my veins. Your father has already told me, you'll never make it. She imitated his serious voice by distorting the words like a trophy. He knows his little girl well. The next morning I was sitting in the office waiting room in the center, between mahogany walls and frames with framed diplomas. Markalev Andrei Sergeyevich, the name on the metal plate shone like a promise. 15,000 per hour. Do not matter. I opened the folder and unfolded the documents on the ebony table, the counterfeit power of attorney, the scam online announcement, the Yogran extract with suspicious transfers. Each roll was a knife I sharpened for years. The lawyer didn't even get his eyes out of the reading glasses when he began to speak. This is not just a fraud. It's an institutionalized theft. Your finger hit the power of attorney. Limited to a specific act, with expiration date. Using it to alienate a property. Abuse of power. Counterfeiting. Qualified fraud. He finally looked at me, and his eyes were cold like a surgeon's before the cut. Article 159 of the Penal Code. We will file a complaint to the police today. At the same time, we filed a nullity of the sale and request for precautionary measures. They will not be able to move a comma in the records. 2 weeks later, the judge issued the order, prohibition of any registration change. Rosrister inserted the restriction into the system. The buyer, Any Oranges, hired by Yasha, panicked. Demanded the money back. My lawyer smiled as he wrote the agreement, full return of the advance, without fines, without proceedings. They were in a hurry. I had justice. A month passed before police appeared at my parents' house. They were not kind. They took my father for testimony, handed Yasha and Alina subpoenas to attend the court. When I filed the eviction action, my phone exploded. My mother, daughter, for God's sake, rethink. My father, you are destroying this family. Yasha, it's your niece, Nat. Think of the baby. I blocked everyone. But they didn't give up. Messages in the corporate entrance box, emails with dozens of handling pages. My mother attached old photos, If memories could pay a mortgage. My father sent an official letter, with tones and all, ungrateful. Disinherited. As if I called the money from those who stole my home. Alina was more creative. He created a new number and sent an ultrasound through WhatsApp. Think of your nephew. My lawyer responded for me, in a glacial tone, any contact will be interpreted as persecution. Next message triggers process by stalking. The trial has dragged on almost a year. Yasha and Alina moved to her in-laws in Aliate's house, a 4-bedroom mansion with annex to guests, I discovered later. The judge determined the immediate eviction of my home. And my father. Accused by fraud with abuse of function, Article 159, Part 2. His lawyer negotiated the reduction for Part 1, 2 years of conditional and a fine of 300,000 rubles. It could have been worse, the man whispered in his dear suit. With his age and clean record, the judge was indulgent. My father nodded pale. He knew that if it was the jury, the indulgence would not exist. It was Aunt Rita who called me, a trembling voice. Your mother came here uncontrolled, Natash. They will lose the house. The bank threatens execution. 6 months ago that they do not pay the mortgage. 6 months, I repeated dryly. Funny. It's exactly the time since I stopped paying their bills. A silence. Then a sigh. My God, girl. How much did you give them in 5 years? 8 million. More or less? Another silence. This time, longer. Molodets, honey. Be firm. Rumors spread throughout the family like fire in dry straw. I found that it was not the only victim. My uncle, my mother's brother, lent money for an emergency surgery. The money ended up at a resort in Turkey. My aunt, my father's sister, contributed to a roof ceiling. The roof was intact, but they bought a 0-kilometer Lada. One by one, the relatives began to call. Not my parents' minions, but those who had been deceived as well. At first some still muttered, don't wash dirty clothes in public, it's your parents, you must forgive. But when did you know about the values, the lies, the attempt to leave me on the street? They silenced. The call that surprised me most came from Valentina Petrovna, my paternal grandmother. We haven't talked for years. My parents always painted her as difficult, bitter. His voice, however, was firm as steel. Natashenka, my granddaughter. I know everything. I'm changing the will. Your parents won't inherit a kopeck. Everything will be yours and their cousins. They are excluded. 3 months after the eviction, my mother appeared in my office. I was at a meeting when the reception called. There is a woman here saying to be your mother. It's changed. I went down to the lobby. She was unrecognizable, dirty hair, crumpled clothes, deep dark circles as if she had aged a decade in months. Natasha, you have to help us. We sleep on the known couch. I'm your mother. No. You're a thief that tried to steal my house. She threw herself over me. Security held her before her nails reached me. Get out of the building or we call the police. The guard warned. Call it. She shouted, her injected eyes with hatred. My daughter has no heart. Destroyed the family. I wanted to arrest the father. He arrested himself, I said, calm down. When you committed fraud. They dragged her out. A week later, my father tried the same scene. Then they tried to wait for me near my building until I install cameras and file a report by persecution. Now they are on the radar of the neighborhood police officer. Any approach, and my father's conditional becomes effective arrest. Yasha tried a different approach. Ludmila Ivanovna, her mother-in-law, left a voice message. Natasha, here is Ludmila. Yasha and Alina are having needs. The baby will be born soon. Do not punish an innocent child. I didn't answer. But investigate. I found that Yasha and Alina lived for free in the 4-bedroom house's attachment of her in-laws, owners of a heating installation company that earned millions. No need. Just one more scam. The family gossip network, led by Aunt Rita, kept me informed. They ride a parenting, making poor things. But everyone has tired. Now they rent a room on the outskirts, she said, stirring the coffee. A year and a half later, I received a letter. Of paper. Yasha was blocked in all my networks. The envelope trembled in my hands when I opened. Nat Ash. Sorry for writing. I know you are angry. I don't blame you. I thought a lot if I should do that, but I need you to know, Alina had a daughter, Eva. The delivery was complicated. I almost lost her. That's when I understood what I did. I knew everything. Of your money to my college. From the house. I was quiet because I convenient me. I'm a coward. I don't ask for forgiveness. I don't have that right. I just wanted you to know, work on 2 jobs now. I want to support my family without my parents' schemes. Maybe one day I deserve that you look at me without disgust. Yasha. I read 3 times. Then I teared. Maybe one day I forgive. But not today. I changed the furniture of the house. I painted the walls. I changed the locks. Each object that remembered from them was donated or thrown away. Now, when I enter, I just smell my smell. My energy. My space. On New Year's Eve, my cousin Jeanna appeared with a bottle of wine. Have you been invited to the supper at Grandma's house? And my parents? No. I went. It was strange to see the empty places they used to sit. But also, liberator. No acid comments about my career. No comparison with Yasha. No money request. After dinner, my grandmother pulled me to a corner. I am proud of you, Detka. As it was imposed. They always treated you as a servant. I should have interfered before. The last news I had from my parents was a month ago, by Aunt Rita. They rent a room in a pension in the continues. A communalka in Bezimi Mayanka. My father cleaning up in a shopping center. My mother is supermarket box. They still tell everyone that I destroyed their lives. 2 years have passed since that sale ad. I still work in the same startup, now with 2 increases and action options that are worth more than they would ever imagine. My old kitchenette, which they tried to steal me, is worth 2 more. Dating Mishka, which still shooks the incredulous head when he hears my family stories. Sometimes I wonder, what if I had silent? If you had let it sell the apartment, followed as a family electronic box? It would probably still be in that Khrushchevka, dreaming of crumbs. Instead, I'm here. My house. My life. My choices. My mother still sends letters through relatives. After I registered occurrence, the police officer on duty warned them about the consequences of persecution. I don't read them. Rita said that at last there was threats that I would end up in jail for disrespect to parents. Fraud is greater sin, she countered, dries. The problem is that when you are the scapegoat, you think this is normal. He thinks that in every family there is a golden son that who can everything and another one that exists just to serve. For me to wake up, they had to try to steal me. My therapist says I have good progress. Yes. I started therapy a year ago. I found that decades of treatment as a second-class citizen leave marks. Do you regret having a complaint? He asked at the last session. No. I regret not defending myself before. And forgiveness. I've thought about it. First, they would have to admit it for truth that they made a mistake. Not those interested apology, just to suck my money again. I doubt they are capable. And honestly, it suits me. Some bridges should be that. Imades. Some families do not deserve to be preserved. But family I have, Aunt Rita, Uncle Timothy, Jeanna, my grandmother, the relatives who saw the manipulations and chose the truth instead of convenience. This is my family now. I saw Yasha last month. I bought a coffee at Kuebiwas EVA, and there he was, pushing the EVA in the cart. Our looks crossed. He took a step toward me, but stopped. He nodded. Repay. We follow opposite paths. Maybe one day we talk. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm fine. Ah, the startup? Taking off. We just closed the second round of investments. My stock options now have real weight, not millions, but enough to enter a new apartment just for rent. Sometimes I want to call them and tell them as the failed daughter, who was never going anywhere, is thriving. Then I remember, they lost the right to know of my life when they chose to betray me. I do not intend to return it. M.